son, thy only son Isaac, whom thou lovest. Take now thy son. Abraham was commanded to sacrifice his son Isaac. Kill the promise. You got to follow and get this today. Kill the promise. And get thee into the land of Moriah. And offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell thee of. Here God is saying again, I want you to go somewhere and you just keep walking till I tell you got it. And Abraham rose up early in the morning. He obeyed God, not knowing where he was going to go. He rose up early in the morning. Somebody getting up early. See, some of y'all need to know early. Let's got to go to work early. Let's got to go to school. You like sleeping in bed late. Ain't no messing with you today. And saddled his ass and then took two of his young men with him. Why he take two men? Because you need some witnesses. And Isaac's son, wood for the burnt offering, rose up and went into the place of which God had told him. Then on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the asses, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship. Everybody say worship. And come again to you. You got to remember that phrase there in verse 5. And Abraham took up the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. He took the fire in his hand and a knife. Somebody said knife. Knife. And they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, Dad, my father. He said, I'm here, son. What's up? Dad, I see the fire. Because it's in your hand. I see the wood because it's on my back. I heard you, God talked to you, but God told you what to do. And I see everything but the lamb. I see everything but what we're going to kill. And Abraham said, son, God will provide. God will provide himself a lamb. What a word, what a word. When you are being tested to know that God will provide. Many of you are being tested financially, you've been tested romantically, you've been tested emotionally, you've been tested mentally, but you got to know that God will provide. If I can put this in your spirit today, I will let you know God will provide.
Yes, he will.
So both of them went together. Isaac now know the plan. And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built the altar. He laid the wood on the altar. Started the fire. And then he tied up Isaac his son. And laid Isaac on the altar. Isaac didn't even run from there. The spirit of the Father is now in the spirit of the Son. Y'all always talking about the dad was an alcoholic, the son was an alcoholic. But what about obedience? If the Father can be obedient, that Son can be obedient. We're always looking at the negative. What about the positive? If the Father go out and work for a living, the Son ought to get up and go work for a living. He didn't run from Dad. He just laid there and Daddy tied him up and Daddy laid him on the altar. And all of a sudden, Abraham, remember he had a knife, right? He took the knife, got ready to come down and kill his boy. But he heard something. He heard an angel say, Abraham, Abraham. Here you go, here I am. Lay not thine hand upon the lad. Don't do any harm to him. Notice this verse is, for now I know that thou fearest God. I want to talk 3 more minutes about worship God with a knife. Worship God with a knife. There are many things we can use to worship God with. We can worship God with our hands, because we lift our hand in adoration. We can worship God with our lips, because we can sing praises unto his name. We can worship God with our feet. We can walk in righteousness. We can worship God with our eyes, looking unto Jesus, who is the author and the finisher of our faith. We can worship God with our mind. We can concentrate on him. We can worship God with our soul. We're laid down at his feet. But there is a place where God is calling us to today, and that is to worship God with a knife. You're done with your hands before. You're done with your lips. You're done with your feet. You're done with your eyes. You're done with your mind. You're done with your soul. But God is calling us to go a little bit further. Worship him with a knife. Stay with me. What is a knife? You know what a knife? Knife is a cutting instrument with a sharp edge blade that is set in the handle. Yes. There's all types of knives. There's a carving knife. There is a chopping table knife. There is a dinner knife. There is a dessert knife. There is a grapefruit knife. I know we have one knife to fit them all, but there's whole kind of knives, y'all. There is a fish knife. There is a pocket knife. There are hunting knives. There are butcher knives. Get wind from the butcher knife. There are knives that the doctor used for surgery. There is a knife called the paper knife. There is the putty knife. There is the oyster knife. There is the pruning knife. There is the bread knife, the cake knife, the butter knife, the serving knife, the Boy Scout knife. But there also is a knife called a knife you can worship with. Knife, cutting edge. It can be used many ways. It can be used dangerous. If it's not properly used, the knife can cut your finger. Even cut it off. If you don't use your knife right, your knife, many people use a knife to slice people's throats. Slice people's car. They use knives and sometimes they strike people's paint off the car. They use a knife even cut up folks' clothes. They use a knife even to cut somebody or to stab somebody. You got to know how to use the knife. And sometimes you use a knife on the positive side. You can use a knife if you're tied up on carbide. But now they tied up in rope. They got a knife. They cut themselves free. If they tied up with tape, they take a knife and cut themselves free. I was watching Monk Friday night. Monk was tied up, and both of them were tied up, and they wonder how they gonna get loose. One said, "I got a pocket knife. Reach in my pants pocket and get this pocket knife," and got the pants pocket, the knife on it. And they got so you got to know how to use your knife. You can use a knife, but those of you who get back the chicken whole, you use a knife and cut your chicken into parts. Yeah, I remember when I was at home with mama, you about a whole chicken, and mama being there cutting the leg, the drum.